Well, hello. Welcome back. The video you're going to see is a road trip that we took in May up to Atlanta Museum. The members of the society went up to take a look at the museum that's just reopened. It's been closed for a few months, but it's open now, and it is a wonderful museum. I'm recommending that everybody in the county or wherever they're from get in to see that museum. It is really, really well done and nice. There's not going to be a whole lot of talking during the video. It'll be mostly going from exhibit to exhibit and taking a quick look at what is available. Just give you a little taste of what the museum is like so you can enjoy getting there yourself. There is a little introduction with Amy Werthiem, the museum director, who told us about the buildings that the museum is housed in, and they were built in the 1860s, 1870s, so they come along with Atlanta. They're part of the main history, since Atlanta was established in 1853, just like Lincoln was established in 1853, because the railroad was completed to Bloomington from St. Louis during that year. There's actually going to have two videos out of this. The second one is going to be about the quilts that were on display when we were there. Of course, by the time you get there, those quilts will be long gone, and it was a really nice display. They had 75 quilts, and I think I got most of them, at least a glimpse of them, so you can see what kind of work the people were doing in making those quilts. But that'll be a separate video. I hope you enjoy both videos.
Tom's Grill was. So those three make up the Union Hall block. So not a block of, long block, but a block of buildings. So those are the first three brick buildings that were built. And it was made using the soil outside of town along the Kickapoo Creek. It had the right clay-based mixture for it. And so the wall that's across the street there, those are also bricks made from that. So that's kind of how all of this came to be. When it was built, it was 75 feet long, and up right above us is the ballroom, what we call it the ballroom now. They used to have weddings and things up there, but the reason why the building was built originally was because the Masonic lost their building. So they teamed up with the Oddfellows. So when you're in the ballroom upstairs, you're going to notice there's a slant in the middle of the floor. That's where a wall used to be separating the two spaces. When the building was bought in 1990, the gentleman who had it actually gutted the upstairs from the aspect of taking out the ceiling, and he took down the wall. There's a very large painting that's framed on the wall. That was part of that wall. The painted walls are from 1867. They are Masonic walls. So they're valued at between $60,000 and $100,000. We have a Chicago group who is working on trying to save them for us because they had gotten too dry. And every time a very large truck drives by, or they come by with the farm equipment, which is my family too, but you'll see along the edges that they're adding on electrical, you'll see little sprinkles of brick, and that's because it shakes the building and it just kind of sprinkles down a little bit. So when a big heavy truck goes by, you feel it rattle. In 1878, they added on another 24 feet. I don't know why they didn't do 25 to make it an even 100, but whatever. And so that was for storage. This down here was all different businesses. So there was a furniture store here at one time. Judy's Grocers was in there. And then there were more grocery stores than anything. And then a dress shop in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. So then it sat empty for about 10 to 12 years, and it was bought in the 90s. It became a company who had it. They were writing software for the government. So and then it kind of went under its out here. They did turn it into the museum. This part of the building for the museum was given in 2017. But the museum is made up of 3 different buildings on 2 floors. So a year ago, my mom was the board president for the library. The gal who was here didn't know a whole lot about museums. She wasn't from Atlanta. She didn't know any of the history. So my family's been here since 1829. We were one of the 5 founding families. That's why I was put on the board. So it's on my dad's side. So I have all the history and the knowledge, and I was brought up in it and everything else. So I was put on the advisory board along with other folks who were from here, know the history, so we could reestablish museum back to museum. She literally gutted everything. The only thing left was the Lincoln exhibit upstairs, where he's standing in the office for Mr. Gills, and the Atlanta high school stuff. Everything else she had torn down, torn apart, thrown into the closet. It was just awful. And so we spent 3 months trying to figure out what happened. We spent 2 months trying to get this open. We were open with minimal stuff last year. We closed November 1, reopened May 1. We spent between $40,000 and $50,000 fixing structural, electrical, cosmetics, and just things of that nature to get it back to a safe aspect, and kind of what you see is what we got done. So everything upstairs has been touched, everything's done here, everything's been painted, new carpet, new tile. It's significantly, we're about 80% where we need to be putting it back together. So one of the things that we are very, very proud of is our Armed Forces Memorial Hall that's over here. So down the left-hand side are artifacts. Read the things about the different uniforms that are there. One gentleman, he was offered a significant amount of money in the 5 figures for just the patch that is on his, trying to think of the guy standing. This side. I didn't think which way he was facing. He was part of the platoon that would go in and get things behind the enemy line in Vietnam. So they were to retrieve, get in and get out, do whatever you had to do to get it, whether it be equipment, people, or what have you. He actually had his face on wanted posters, he and his platoon members. So they didn't even get the patch until he was out. So it was a very coveted patch. It was a very secretive group, but he donated, it was on permanent loan here, for us to have here. It's just really kind of a unique thing. Everyone that is in there on the walls at the end and on the side are people who have served from Atlanta. We have 67 people to go to have the whole group up, whether they have served in the past or they're currently serving. We have a full-bird colonel, we have a general, and we have a lieutenant colonel. Those are the top 3. Our lieutenant colonel actually was hit in the air with a live bomb. We have a picture of his plane in there. And then he landed and it still didn't explode. They wrote a book about him, and they made a movie about his exploits in World War II. So there's some interesting stories in there. So you can take a look at that. There is a Civil War rifle that was given to us. This gentleman had 3 sons. He did not want his sons fighting over it, so he gave it to us. 2 showed up demanding it back, and I'm like, yeah, you can't have it. The next room, well, the next 2 rooms are what made up the bank. So my family started the banking here, and that's where it was. So we're in the process of putting it back how it was. We just haven't gotten it quite there yet. So there's a picture on the wall about Judge Bevins' death. He took over the space after we moved the bank across the railroad tracks before it came over here to the Atlanta National Bank. So, and that's where the quilts start. The next room is set up as a depot room, so you'll see a lot of interesting historical pictures in there. You'll be able to see the building where it has Judy's Grocers on it from the 1900s. You'll see the library that was built in 1909 when it was still in a meadow. So that's kind of interesting there. From there, if you're feeling gusto, you can climb the stairs to the 2nd floor, or you're going to go down the hallway from the banking room. That's where the elevator is. Now you'll start to see quilts everywhere. The quilt show is still going on. We have 75 quilts throughout the entire building. Mainly they are upstairs. When you arrive upstairs, you're in the gray room. That's the one we haven't touched yet. It has some business things in there. The next room is the Lincoln room, and that is where you'll see him stressing over, here's because we have his hand up there, he's stressing over writing his speech. And then we have some things from my great-great-grandmother's house, because Lincoln used to hang out there at our house. And so there's stories about when he would come to visit, the rocking chair that's there from the great-great-grandma's, his cane. The next section of that is for Lucille Pesch. She started the museum in 1973. Then we have the school area, that has all been redone. We have a lot of uniforms out, we're getting more trophies out. The really cool banner that they have one there. Then in the ballroom is where the majority of the quilts are. We have the Masonic room, which has the sword from the gentleman who served on Lincoln's pallbearers, and he was a Mason. So there's quite a few things in there. We have our chairs back that are in that room, and then of course the coffin that we found in the attic. So, luckily it was empty. But we have it dated back to the 1880s, and the handles are sterling silver. Now it's undercover, but when you lift it up, it goes. So we don't like to lift it up. So you are welcome to wander wherever you want, upstairs or downstairs. I'll be around. You can ask any questions. I have oodles of history and fun stories to tell. Now, shameless plug. If you'd like to give me a $5 donation, I can give you 6 tickets and you can help vote for our People's Choice quilt. In the ballroom, there are 75 boxes. Every quilt has a number on it. And you can take your 6 tickets, you can vote for one that you think is the best one overall, you can vote for 6 individual ones, whatever you would like. But the money from the ticket sales goes to the person who gets selected as the People's Choice winner. So, that's it. Any questions?